Hey boys and girls, here's chapter 2 of Chomps, Flea, and Gray Cat, That's Me. When Mama finally brought Callie out, the old cat went straight to the rocking chair and hopped up. She sat for a long time sniffing the smells of early spring. She washed her paws and face before, finally curling her tail around her body and going to sleep. I jumped up on the swing. Taking long strokes with my tongue, I tried to wash the fur on my chest. Chunks of white hair came out. Rubbing my tongue against the roof of my mouth, I tried to get rid of the fuzzy stuff. Then I shook my head, trying to get the fur ball out of my mouth. I finally gave up and flopped down on the towel Mama had placed on the swing. My whiskers twitched as I watched the birds taking turns at the feeder filled with sunflower seeds. I closed my eyes and dreamed of warmer summer days. The squeak of the front door startled me as Mama put Chomps down on the concrete near the swing. She patted him on the head, then closed the door behind her. The pup looked up at me with his little shiny eyes. "Let's play!" He started bouncing around below me. I tucked my front legs tighter to my body. He made little yipping sounds that made me blink. "Not now, pup. Cats need a lot of sleep." I closed my eyes, but the puppy's sounds continued. "Dogs need exercise. Let's play." "Later, pup." I hoped that he would get the hint. "Why didn't Mama exercise you?" I tried to get her to play, but she just wanted me to sit still under her feet. She was in the office working. She said you'd play with me. "Later, pup." I tried to catch a few minutes of sleep, but Chomps just kept on and on. I finally stretched my legs out and washed my paws. Another hairball stuck in my mouth. I stood up, then jumped down to the concrete. Callie was still asleep in the chair. The pup probably did need some exercise, and I could do with a little trophy hunting. I motioned to him with a jerk of my head. "Okay, pup, but you're going to have to follow some rules. We're going to go down to the hayfield. But we'll play, but you will have to do some watching first." Chomp's ears stood straight up as he listened to me. "I'll watch." "I'm serious, Chomps. I'm going to teach you how to hunt. You have to promise to be very quiet and stay back until I have a trophy for the mama." The pup's ears stayed straight up, but his tail began to wag even harder. "I'll be good, Gray, I promise." We walked through the yard and down the little dirt road. The pasture in front of the house was damp from the morning dew. We crossed the road, then crawled under the fence. Chomps bounced and hopped over big clumps of grass. I looked back at the pup. "Be quiet, Chomps. I have to listen for mice." He sat very still as I flattened my body to the ground. I kept my ears perked, listening for the mice scurrying under the dead grass. Suddenly, I popped up and came down on my first catch. I brought my prize back and laid it in front of the pup. "See how easy that was, Chomps?" He frowned at the mouse. His long ears wobbled back and forth. Finally, he looked up and gave me a goofy smile. "Can you show me that again?" he asked. Crouching down, I perked my ears, listening. I pounced at the sound that I heard in the grass. I missed. My tail flipped one way and then the other. The sound came from my left side this time. I crouched and held my breath. I missed again. I turned around and glared at Chomps. "Would you be quiet?" I hissed. His eyes popped wide, and his little mouth fell open. "I didn't do anything," he whimpered. "I didn't bark. I didn't move. I didn't even breathe deep." My tail gave another jerk. This time it went straight up. Well, just keep it that way." This mouse was way too lucky. I strolled farther out into the field. Chomp's tail wagged all over the place when I sat my trophy down in front of him. He looked at it. He sniffed it. He even clunked it with his paw. "Think you're ready to try it now?" I asked. He nodded his head so hard his ears flopped. "Sure, that looks easy. I bet I can do that." Head high on one end and tail high on the other, Chomp strutted out into the field. His ears twitched and wiggled. All at once he stopped. He crouched low, then he leaped in the air. He landed about a foot from the mouse. "Slow down, pup. You have to listen, then think about where it's going to go next. Don't pounce until you know for sure which way the mouse is headed." Chomps pawed the dirt in front of him and bounced backward as he barked at the spot where he thought the mouse was. I felt my eyes roll. Suddenly he jumped again. This time he went straight up. Trouble was, his front legs jumped harder than his back feet. Somehow, while he was in midair, he got off balance. When he came down, his back end was ahead of his front end. His hind paws touched the ground, then his tail hit, then he flopped flat on his back. I guess there was a low spot where he landed. He tried to roll one way, but he couldn't, so he tried to roll the other. The little pup looked totally silly, squirming on his back with his little stubby legs churning in the air. Still upside down, He scrunched his head back so that he could look at me. I thought I had it. My eyes rolled again, but I blinked and caught myself before Chomps saw me. I sighed, then took a deep breath. It's okay. I didn't catch the first mouse I chased. It just takes patience and practice. Now, get up and try it again. I can't. I'm stuck. He flopped back and forth a few more times until he finally got to his feet. His ears pricked up as he put his nose to the ground and moved slowly toward the smells in the hay. He pounced again. This time he slid and bumped his chin on the ground. Dried grass and hay stuck to his fluffy hair as he tried to shake himself clean. Chomps worked for a long time, practicing his hunting skills. He learned to keep his nose close to the ground and his eyes stayed locked on one spot until he was ready to spring. But his pouncing still wasn't very good. He would fall over on his nose, trip himself, and do a somersault or spin until he got dizzy. At least he didn't get stuck on his back again. I guess for a puppy, it wasn't all that bad. At least he tried hard. I finally decided it was time to head back to the house. The little dog was tired and his fur was full of dirt, grass, and stickers. Now, stickers are not the things I put on your papers. They're seeds that are out in the grass in the woods, and they have little spikes on them, kind of, and when you walk by them, they get stuck on your clothes, or they get stuck in dog's fur or cat's fur, and they're really hard to get out. If you pull them, it really hurts. Shake yourself, Chomps. You need to get that stuff out of your hair, or Mama will know that we have been away from the yard. The pup tried to get the mess off. Each shake seemed to make his curly fur even tighter. The clay dirt made red spots. As we headed back to the house, the pup would stop and try to pull the stickers and twigs out with his teeth. He stopped, sat down, and reached around to tug at something. Only when he stood up, more junk was stuck to the side he was sitting on. It took forever to get back to the yard. As we neared the front door, we both knew that we were in trouble. Mama was standing on the porch, with her hands on her hips. She scowled at us. When Chomps saw her, his tail drooped. His ears flattened against his head. Mama walked over to him and picked him up. They disappeared into the house. Callie's whiskers twitched as she stretched her front legs. Boy, you've done it now. Mama is really mad at Chomps. She's been looking for him for an hour. Where did you take him? To the creek? We were just hunting in the field. He's going to be a good hunter with a little more practice. Well, maybe lots more practice. He won't get any more practice. Mama will probably only let him out in the backyard from now on. She was worried about him. He's too little to be very far from the house by himself. He wasn't by himself. I was with him. Callie flipped her tail. I don't think that Mama counts you. I frowned at her. But I took good care of him. I brought him home, didn't I? Callie didn't answer. She walked to the door and lay down on the mat. Just then I realized that I had forgotten to bring a trophy home for Mama. Hope you enjoyed Chapter 2. Take care.